Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmed Nawaz, with the latest roundup of sports today. Once again, we've got a bunch of things to discuss, starting off with the Asia Cup, of course, where we will be looking at things in detail. Of course, we had a day's break that was necessary, wasn't it? But now action continues once again for the Asia Cup. A stellar game so far, two of them, of course, Afghanistan against Sri Lanka and then Pakistan against India. And now it's Bangladesh versus Afghanistan at 7 p.m. with the action live on PTV Sports HD. You'll be catching all the action there, and of course, if Afghanistan win, they will qualify for the Super 4 easily. And of course, for Bangladesh, they need redemption as well with a victory, but Afghanistan is one of the most dangerous teams in this tournament, in this format. They've got a very good side, completely, I think, ticking all the boxes. Spin, fast bowling now, that was a concern. Then the batters as well for 20 overs, they're suited side, and then the of course, services of Yunus Khan and Umar Gul are proving just a touch above the rest as well. So we'll be discussing this game in detail, also looking at some other things. Then, of course, we move on to another is going to take place. Our girls in green are in Nepal. They're going to be participating in this championship. We're all rooting for them. We're all backing them. We're all going to be supporting them as much as we can, and we're going to be bringing you all the action and all the news related to that as well. The team is in Nepal. They had a training camp here in Pakistan, in Lahore as well, at the PFF headquarters. Now they face India on the 7th of September. So definitely we're going to be rooting for them. That's the lineup that we've got for the show today. Time now to introduce our guest, of course, for cricket. First of all, in studios, I've been joined by cricket coach and cricket expert Syed Mohammad Awais. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Great to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket commentator and cricket expert Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, Asif. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm very well. How about yourself?
I'm very well as well. Great to have you on the show. First of all, condolences to you. We just heard that one of your very dear friends passed away.
Left-arm spinner Kashif Ali.
A very, very sad news. We pray for the departed soul. It's a journey we all must go to.
Yes, that's right.
But we pray for his soul and courage to the family. That's very necessary at this time.
Thank you.
So our condolences to you and of course his family.
Thank you.
Of course, that being said, talking about the Asia Cup, like I said, it's Bangladesh who take on Afghanistan today. And one person who knows how teams have been going on this journey of step by step and improving is Syed Mohammad Awais, because he's been part of that journey of one particular side in the UAE as well. So he knows all about that. But Awais, we've got to appreciate and accept that in modern world of cricket, Afghanistan is the next big story.
The spin bowling is a big story, I would say. I mean, I remember, you just mentioned on, because they were... They have played all their life back in Pakistan. They played for Fata Cheetahs. If you remember, there was a team in the Ambro Cup. I mean, they used to play for that. I mean, many of the players have been trained over here. They went to Afghanistan because, remember, Afghanistan used to play that, what he was saying on Intercontinental Cup or the, I would say, ICC division tournaments to qualify for this associate nations to qualify for the main rounds. And the top four teams, I told you, I mean, one was UAE, obviously, Hong Kong, Afghanistan and Ireland. These four teams used to compete at the highest level. Sometimes Holland used to come too. But Afghanistan has been a fabulous one, I would say. And in little bit of time, I would say, their players especially, they have made names to all the leagues going on around the world. I mean, you see Rashid Khan is playing everywhere around the world. Mohammad Nabi. There was a guy called Hamid, the paceman. I remember, unfortunately, due to his surgeries, he wasn't able to continue more for Afghanistan. He played around the world. So they have got that talented players, and they are must candidate for every league around the world. That even is helping them. The exposure is helping them. You can see in the first T20 match against Sri Lanka, I know they are on a building phase right now, but the way they won against Australia in Sri Lanka, remember that at least made them back in the big tournaments. But Afghanistan bowling lineup specifically, I would say they have a new pace attack with them. That left arm spinner, the left arm pacer, he's a young kid. I mean, he on this kind of dead wickets, I would say specifically, I know there's a little bit grass on the wicket, he was swinging the ball away from the right-handed. The spin bowling trio for them is one of the deadliest combination, I would say. Wherever they go, I would say, even if they are playing semi-finals, obviously they would be giving a tough time to Bangladesh. Remember in the ICC events too, I mean, they have given tough time to India, they have given tough time to Pakistan, even Australia too. So it's a good thing, I would say, for the Afghan kids, and specifically whatever situation has been in Afghanistan. When this kind of performances come, it's a boost for the nation.
Definitely. Asif, when we talk about Afghanistan, there are certain things that we know that are their strengths, especially the spin bowling has been over the years, explosive batting has been there over the years. People did talk about the fact that they're only a side that can play aggressive, only 20 overs. But in T20 cricket, that's all you need, 3 batsmen to fire, and you've got a good total, or you're chasing a total. But now this added thing that we're seeing, this new energy in that fast bowling department, how do you rate them as a side now?
Well, the brief, discussion about Afghanistan teams, what Awais described each and everything, the way they have started their journey, the way they have played, in Pakistan, most of their plays, even Rashid Khan, and you can take other names as well. And all of them, they were, getting training in Pakistan, and then they went out for the leagues, and then, ICC events. As Awais was taking 4 names, UAE, Hong Kong, Ireland, and then he's talking about the Afghanistan. See, Ireland and Afghanistan, they got the test status now because of their efforts, because of their, the education of cricket, because of the knowledge of cricket, because what they are doing right now in cricket, not only in T20 cricket, but also in Test cricket, is phenomenal. Now you're talking about that the way they are, evolving, especially in fast bowling, because spin department, it's tremendous. A couple of spinners, they are the match winners like Mujibur Rahman and then Rashid Khan, of course. Farooqi, he's the left-arm fast bowler, and if you have observed him, with a short run up, coming up with high arm bowling action, and then bringing in and out both, it's really nice. And credit goes, of course, to their fast bowling coach, and there is Umar Gul is there. One thing I must want to talk about their, the techniques of their batting. Yes, they're good for T20, going and hitting sixes, Najibullah Zardan, then Hazratullah Zazai. But still, I think that they do not have proper batters who could bat for, who are really good in technique, in the manners of technique.
Absolutely.
So I think they're just missing some good technical batters, so who could play proper cricketing shots.
Absolutely. I think that will answer every question, and then they become a quality side in all formats. We'll continue right after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're discussing the encounter tonight at 7 p.m. on PTV Sports HD, live from the UAE, the T20 Asia Cup. It's Bangladesh taking on Afghanistan in the Group B encounter. Saeed Mohammad Awais and K. Asif Ahmed are in studios with us discussing the matter. Now, Awais, of course, we've discussed Afghanistan, a lot of positives for them as well, and a lot of things that they need to work on, obviously. Bangladesh, very crucial moment for them in cricket. I think going back to Saqib-ul Hasan just tells us the desperation they are in to just come out of this bad patch that they have.
So in Bangladesh, I would say in a couple of years, they have played good cricket, I remember. But again, the influence of politics in Bangladesh cricket has ruined their life. Saqib-ul Hasan was banned. Many of the cricketers were banned from Bangladesh. Bangladesh again went through reface building process. Now they're back into over here. And remember, Bangladesh as a top nation again, because see, I know they haven't been consistent with their performance in the ICC events, but Ahmed Bhai, they are one team which is a regular member of the ICC, I would say. Going through the, process. Remember the last World Cup, they went through qualifying round. That was painful even for me, even for the Bangladeshi fans, because Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are permanent members of the ICC. This tournament again, I would say, will be a big boost for them. It would be that they would be hungry to perform over here against Afghanistan. Saqib-ul Hasan leading the side, but Afghanistan, I'll tell you again, because it's just not about the players, it's about the home ground. Remember, Afghanistan home ground always has been the Sharjah Stadium. It has been Dubai Sports City, because they have travelled, they have played all their life over there. Kabir Khan, I need to appreciate him, because he was the coach of Afghanistan, where they started the big journey of Afghanistan team, and they went on. Rashid Latif, even Rashid Bhai was their head coach too. So they went through many processes, but Sharjah Stadium is the home crowd.
Right.
And Sharjah Stadium, one thing I'll tell you, it's a spinning track, it's a dead wicket. It won't be the same what Dubai had, little bit grass on it. I mean, even the square had grass on it.
But 150
Sharjah
becomes
wicket,
the same total there.
Sharjah wicket, whatever the total is, 140, 150 I would say,
Yeah.
won't be an easy task for the other team to chase on.
K. Asif, both teams have met each other 8 times in T20 international cricket. Afghanistan winning 5 of them, 3 for Bangladesh. And if I'm able to figure out last couple of games, even the series, T20 tri-series as well, Afghanistan has dominated.
Yes, you know that as Awais was telling about their journey of success, the way they've started their cricket, and now, you know, name their spinners. They're the world-class spinners. They're in the world ranking, and now a couple of batters. They're really specialists in T20. In break, we were discussing that Hazratullah Zazai talk about Najibullah Zardan, Nabi. All of them, they're really good hitters. So in T20, this is their speciality, and of course that, you know, if you talk about Bangladesh, now they got a couple of match winners like their captain Shakib Al Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim. They're missing Tamim Iqbal, you know, and then their spinners actually. So right now, Bangladesh team is in struggle mode. Of course, as Awais said that he was not happy at all, of course, because they have played qualifying round in T20 World Cup. So this is the problem. This is going on the problem with the Bangladesh cricket team. And Afghanistan team is a really promising side in T20 cricket. If you have watched out the last match against Sri Lanka, the way they played and really aggressive cricket early on, their pacer Farooqi, then their spinners, they bowled really nicely, then the batters Najibullah Zardan and then Hazratullah Zazai, were both of them really good in good touch, and they've chased 105 just in 12 overs. Right. So I think this is their best thing. That
your call tonight, Asif. Are you going with Afghanistan?
Well, honestly, if you talk about that who's favorite, but I'll go, of course, 60% with Afghanistan and 40 Bangladesh.
Definitely. Asif and Awais, of course, have analyzed this game in context. Awais is going to be staying with us. Asif, thank you very much for being on the show. But before we say goodbye to you, Asif, it's a bit off topic, but I just want to tell you, Shan Masood got a half century in the National T20 Cup today in a match of Balochistan against Central Punjab. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
मासूम बच्चे, ये बेबस बहनें, ये भाई और ये बुजुर्ग आपकी फराख दिलाना इमदाद के मुंतजिर हैं। मुतासरीन सैलाब की माली इमदाद के लिए वजीर आजम पाकिस्तान और वफाकी काबीना के कायम करदा प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड 2022 के अकाउंट में रकूम जमा कराई जा सकती हैं। मासूम बच्चे, ये बेबस बहनें, ये भाई और ये बुजुर्ग आपकी फराख दिलाना इमदाद के मुंतजिर हैं। मुतासरीन सैलाब की माली इमदाद के लिए वजीर आजम पाकिस्तान और वफाकी काबीना के कायम करदा प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड 2022 के अकाउंट में रकूम जमा कराई जा सकती है।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं हूं मोहम्मद हफीज़। मौजूदा बारिशों के पेश नज़र पूरा पाकिस्तान इस वक्त सैलाब की आफत के अंदर मुब्तला है। बहुत से हमारे पाकिस्तानी भाई बहन इस वक्त मुश्किलात में हैं। मेरी उन तमाम मुखय्यर हजरात से गुजारिश होगी कि वो बाहर निकलें और मदद करें अपने साथियों की जो इस वक्त मुश्किल में हैं। ये वक्त है बाहर निकलने का और एक दूसरे की मदद करने का। सो डोनेट जेनरसली एंड हेल्प एवरीवन।
अभी फंड लिखकर 9999 पर SMS करें और 10 रुपए अतिया करें या अपने अतियात वजीर आजम फ्लड रिलीफ फंड अकाउंट में जमा कराएं। हुकूमत पाकिस्तान।
Welcome back to Sports Extra. We're discussing something very, very particular now in this segment. Let's take a look at this report and then come back.
Injured Shaheen Shah Afridi will complete rehabilitation for his knee injury in London. The Pakistan Cricket Board has said he is expected to regain complete fitness before the T20 World Cup in October, though his return to cricket will be decided by the board's medical advisory panel. Shaheen was ruled out of the ongoing Asia Cup after being advised a 4 to 6 weeks rest by the medical team, following an injury to the right knee ligament. He had Copen injury while fielding during the first test against Sri Lanka in Gale in July. The 22-year-old was in the United Arab Emirates with the rest of Pakistan's squad to continue his rehabilitation even after Mohammad Hasnain was announced as his replacement. However, further assessments of his situation has prompted the Pakistan Cricket Board Medical Advisory Panel to send him to London so he can work on returning before the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2022 begins in less than 2 months. Fast bowler Mohammad Wasim Jr. was also ruled out of the T20 Asia Cup due to injury as he suffered a left side strain during a practice session for the Asia Cup. The cricket board said a medical team will closely monitor Wasim's rehabilitation and his return to competitive cricket will be reassessed before the England tour to Pakistan.
Right, there you have it. Injury scarce for Pakistan and very serious, as I just told you, that sources are now saying that Shaheen Afridi can be doubtful for the T20 World Cup. Of course, joining us in studios now is sports nutritionist and somebody who's an expert on this subject, Najeeb Khattak. Assalamu alaikum, Najeeb.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for
coming on the show again. Najeeb, first of all, my question is very important regarding Shaheen Shah Afridi's injury. Then I'll come to some other things that have been happening. If you have an injury, and even if you're not playing, but obviously traveling with the team, traveling to foreign countries, having flight, this is stressful for you in your rehab process.
Yes, you are right, but team management will consider it why he is traveling with team. But one thing is major: if you are traveling or you are walking, but keep avoid to load on your knee. If you are not loading on your knee, then it is not problem.
And this is a very serious injury. People need to understand that this knee, because he's a fast bowler, is everything that he has right now.
Yes, I think he's just walking. I don't know which grade of this, grade 1, 2, 3. They have 3 grade in the knee injuries. I don't know which one, if grade 1 or in 2, so it's not serious. If 3, so it's very crucial and serious. So I think they have medical doctor and physio, so he will consider that he will rest or he will walk with team.
See, the big question right now is, everybody asks this in Pakistan, that these are young people in their 20s, you know, and not even in their late 20s, in their early 20s. Why are their bodies breaking up so easily?
Yes, sir, there have some many problems. There are 3 main topics. When we are talking about sports sciences, when we are training someone, then we have 3 different stages. Number 1 is training. There are some main issue in training. Number 2 is diet recovery. I don't know what nutritionist or trainer or coaches give them for recovery for diet. And number 3 is rest. I don't know how much is their rest. And these things is major things. And one thing is another beside this. This is overload, underload. There is I think the player is overloaded or underloaded. If you are underloaded, then you may face.
Now the thing to understand is that immediately one fine morning we've realized that we have to send him to London. We carried him to the Netherlands, we brought him back to the UAE. He's been taking almost 7-8 hours of flights, and now once again on a 8 hours journey, we're sending him once again to London.
So I told you one thing always, that a fast bowler really needs, the body of fast bowler really needs to be handled up. You know, fast bowler life is not expanded as the spin bowler life is. And I was even shocked to see that when you knew that he has been injured and you're carrying him to the Netherlands, then you're bringing him back to Dubai, and then you're letting him stay with the Pakistan team. See, one thing is that you're letting him stay with the Pakistan team. That means the rehab process is on its process. It's on the way.
But how serious is this? You know, we really want to understand.
See, I mean, on a personal note, the physiotherapist would be the best one to say, but as a fast bowler, I would say it's a serious thing, because when a ball gets hit on this kind of a bone, I don't know what this bone is called in the scientific name, I would say, but when it gets hit as a fast bowler, this leg, I mean, if you're a left-arm fast bowler, this is your main leg, I would say, of a fast bowler, and you have to carry the load on it. It won't be an easy task for Shaheen Shah Afridi to speedy recover back for the World Cup, because You just have, I guess, two months for the World T20 coming up, and it won't be an easy task over here because when he's gone back to UK, the rehab process would be around 3 to 4 weeks, if I'm not wrong,
minimum.
Depending on I don't know whether if it's a minor fracture or what it is, depending on the stage of like even the brother mentioned on depending on the stage what it is. So it takes time to get back into the form, and secondly, when you get back, I mean, when your bone is fixed up, when everything is fixed up as a fast bowler, that hesitation in your mind is still there while bowling.
You've been part of this system, right? You're still part of this system as a coach as well. What Najeeb mentioned is a very important point, that our policy right now of training, whether it's overloading the players or underloading them, whether it's the diet, both cases on part of the management and then the players themselves, that probably they're exerting too much, and of course they're not telling the management that, look, I can't do more than this, my body will break down.
See, Ahmed bhai, the biggest thing is that if you just watch out the players' journey, actually where they come from, I mean, in Pakistan they come from one of the humble backgrounds, I would say, where you don't have proper training, where you don't have the proper nutrition to follow on.
Lower middle class.
The lower middle class, I would say. When you step into the under-19 cricket, there something gets to start on. Even under-19 still lacks some facilities, I would say. When you're playing at the league cricket is now one of the most famous leagues around the world, I would say, where you start to learn from the other players that what nutrition diet they take on, what kind of offloading it is and what kind of onloading it is. Because remember, there are two things for a fast bowler, for any cricketer, I would say. It's a pre-season camp and it's a season camp, because in a season always you have a different plan for a fast bowler where you actually try to get something out of him, because you're near to the season, you need to practice more and more. In a, I would say, off season, you have patches, I mean, that you just have in a week you practice twice, or you practice just thrice, you just ball out, I would say 30 balls. Or
light training
balls.
probably.
Light training, I would say. Secondly, in the gym, I would say you have got different exercises. Najeeb would better know all this. You have got different exercises for the fast bowlers, I mean, to just carry on, to offload its weight, I would say, and specifically even for the fast bowling, what training you have to do. But the biggest problem as a cricketer, if you just travel around the world, you have different kind of atmosphere in the grounds, because when you're traveling to UK, when you're traveling to this Netherlands,
the
you
weather
have a different atmosphere over there, the ground atmosphere
I think that becomes the next big question, because I agree with the West. I think the biggest confusion right now in Pakistan, you see all of these young kids immediately going to the gym, they will start going on the leg press and putting up so much weight and taking videos, and they think doing leg press is going to make them Arnold Schwarzenegger. Probably that's not the case. Everybody reacts differently to different trainings, and that's very important to understand. That's why we say, and that's why Najeeb always says that sports is a science. So you need to understand that. But Najeeb, the next big thing that we've seen in the UAE particularly, because it's almost a weather like ours but even more hot and humid, is our bowlers have been suffering cramps.
Yes, I'm thinking about it. My knowledge says that the player is dehydrated. Their water level, their fluid level is not completed. There are some issues between their foods, their nutrition, their diets, and their recovery. So I want to share with you, Naseem Shah and Shaheen Shafi both belong from KPK and from very backward area. So we have concept of 3 meals per day: breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. And now the elite athlete passing to the 5 to 6 meals per day, small meals after portions, just after 2-3 hours. ACM, American College of Sports Medicine, says when you have a match before 2 hours, you should drink a small you should drink small ounces water. So divide your water ounces, 20 to 22 ounces before the match. So our player is not rehydrated.
How important are electrolytes then in this weather especially?
Yes, very important. Energy drink is very important. Ahmed bhai, we are now living in artificial world. So we should work on this. We have Awais bhai mentioned that fast bowler have a very short period of their performance, same like a sprinter. Sprinter has, if you watching the 100 meter, 200 meter races, so the sprinter have a very short period of their whole
Game as well.
game,
Or one
yes.
short burst of energy is
Yes,
needed for them.
they keep care of their nutrition, their load, their recovery, and their sleeping time. So one thing you mentioned is very beneficial for the upcoming player. That in sports sciences we have law of individual, law of specificity. So in cricket, different training. Wicketkeeper have different training.
Absolutely.
Fast bowler have different,
Yes.
and the batsmen have different.
Definitely.
So they could not combine training. They could not
don't
have
have
the
the same
same
concept.
training.
Absolutely.
So this is the big issue.
I think
in
Najib
Pakistan.
really mentions it. Now imagine that just before a game you need to get your electrolytes and fluids complete. It's a very, I think, interesting fact that happened in Pakistan where a coach came. I will not name the players or coach. And there was a game of PSL. And right before the game, almost 20, 30 minutes or an hour before the game, you saw two of our players having a buffet dinner with their plates full up till here, eating rice and every sort of thing. And he was gobsmacked. He was shocked, asking them that you've got a game in just an hour. And he was actually trying to snatch those plates from them. So that's the culture that we've established over here, and that really needs to change. But Awais and Najib, thank you very much for joining us on the show. On that note, we'll wrap this segment up. We'll go towards a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. We're now discussing the SAF Women's Championship where the Pakistan women's football team has reached Nepal. They're going to be participating in this championship. It's all go girls in green from here onwards, and we need all of you to support these girls as well. Pakistan football has suffered tremendously, but now things are getting back on track, and I love it that we're starting from the women's side of it as well, and these young girls are going to be wearing our national colors in Nepal when they take on India in the first big encounter. To discuss this further, we've been joined on Sports Extra by editor for footballpakistan.com, Mr. Ali Ehsan. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you for being on the show. Great to have you. Now, first of all, how special is this for all of us who have been, really following Pakistan football and have been very upset with the way things had been turning out. But like I said, finally things are back on track, and it couldn't get more special than having the women's side participating first.
Yes, absolutely. The last time the Pakistan women's national football team played was back in 2014, 8 years ago. So this 8-year-long wait is finally over, and the girls are finally back in action. It's just so glad. I'm just so glad to see them back in action again. And it's going to be an interesting tournament how they actually perform, because they're playing against sides who are more well established. The first game is against India on September 7th. India is ranked 55 in the world in women's rankings. For example, Pakistan is currently unranked because of they haven't played a game in 8 years. But I'm just glad to see them back in action again.
The whole process has been really, I think, on an adrenaline rush, from the selection of the girls and then to their training, and of course to the announcement of the captain as well. And then of course I think the big news of bringing a player who's got international exposure already, playing on a different part of the world, joining the team. That's got to be the big, I think, thing for us right now.
Absolutely. The initial list, if I recall correctly, was made on the players identified in the 2021 National Women's Football Championship, which unfortunately got disrupted because of a hostile takeover of the PFF, as you may all know of. So that was an initial list of players. Then the coaching staff was appointed. Then they'll judge the players based on their, technical ability, their fitness, their game and tactical readiness, and technical, aspects of it too. And then they shortlisted the squad. And of course, thankfully, the PFF Normalization Committee was able to reach out to diaspora-based players. For example, Maria Khan, who's Pakistani-American but has been played in the National Women's Championship for 2 editions and is UAE-based currently right now. And of course, Nadia Khan from Doncaster Rovers Bells in England. And she's been, a very, interesting player and a very talented player, attacking midfielder, winger type. So having this kind of quality in terms of what kind of abilities you can bring to the national team is extremely important and something to look forward to as well.
I know it's too early to call it, and of course, because of the way things have been on a fast track process and everything, it's very difficult to actually, expect big from these girls, and that would be injustice going into their first international tournament right now. But on the same side, I don't know whether it's my patriotic Pakistani gut feeling or I'm just being too naive, that I actually think that these girls have that quality and that combination and that energy that they can surprise us all.
I mean, yes, all of us are optimistic in one way or another, aren't we? But like I said, in any kind of tournaments like these, you need to have a very strong preparational plan and preparational procedure. Most countries, most even the smaller countries who have women's programs or any national team, for example, they plan these tournaments well in advance. They would like to have extensive camps. They would like to have a domestic football league system in place, which has been consistently taking players and trying to produce them at the highest level. Then you would expect them to be regular in terms of going on tours, playing international friendlies, organizing visits to other countries too. So that's extremely important as well. Pakistan, unfortunately, because of the political situation in the PFF, and the FIFA ban, which lasted 15 months, we had none of that luxury to do so. But yes, domestically, we have a bunch of very talented girls. For example, the likes of Suha Hirani, Malika Noor, who's playing back after 8 years, Sahar Zaman, and of course, Ramin Farid, one of the younger lot coming up in recent years. They are very hungry to play international football again. Of course, we shouldn't have any expectations. Let's be honest with ourselves. We should not have any expectations of any results. If they can pull off a couple of goals here and there, maybe a 1 or 2 points in these 3 games, I'll be happy with that. And then after, when the tournament is over, then we can plan on, what to do nextwards. Having, let's say, a women's league in Pakistan, having more extensive, friendlies with different countries, like, for example, Maldives and Saudi Arabia. They've been able to establish their women's team, Saudi Arabia, in recent years too. So having a plan forward as the years go by would be extremely important, because this is, for example, a welcome back tour for the women's team. So whatever happens, it's all fine. What happens after that? Then that's what the PFF Normalization Committee and the PFF as a whole can plan for.
That's very important, because I think the culture right now in Pakistan, not just for football, which is of course in the developing stages, as one might say, again in the infant stage, but is that we actually figure it out, okay, there's a tournament now, let's set up a camp. It's very important that we ensure that even after this championship, whatever the results are, the girls don't sit idle, whether it's having a national league championship or not, but at least they're involved in some sort of yearly training program and it continues.
Absolutely. And like I said, women's football can be an extremely positive image building exercise for not just Pakistani football, but Pakistan as a whole, because, Western countries and other developed countries are more than happy to support women's football any way they can. But we have to be able to show that something is being done. And yes, there has to be a women's league. There have to be extensive, friendlies planned with different countries, so that the women's team does not go dormant for another, let's say, a year or so. And then suddenly, because 2023, there are a bunch of qualifiers coming up, for example, the Olympic Games and, the Women's World Cup and, the Women's Asian Cup tournaments and other age group tournaments as well. So you have to plan accordingly. The women's team needs to have its own dedicated coaching staff. They need to have their own dedicated schedule on what to do. And they need to have a domestic system and a form of a league in which, let's say, the top 6 to 8 teams domestically in Pakistan play each other on a home and away basis or a double league basis to at least be able to have some activity going. Because unfortunately, women's football doesn't have the luxury of these invitational tournaments, which men's football does in Pakistan. So we need to expand the scope on that, and the PFF has to take action on that one too. And they can actually do that, because they can gather this interest, gather this, appeal and the interest among girls, especially in this country, and they can take it forward.
One very important subject that I want you to comment on with your experience, of course, is that, of course, now these are girls that have been identified, but obviously we need to keep that process going of getting in raw talent and bringing them to this. That the only stage we see in Pakistan is obviously going back to schools. And fortunately, I would say fortunately in Pakistan, because there is a private school structure that dominates the government side of education, they've got their own teams that are already playing in probably futsal or indoor football or whatever they're getting their hands on. I've personally seen teams from these top-notch private schools that are there. So probably if we are to focus on a school championship, in your analysis, you think that would probably be one way of fast-tracking a talent-based process?
That's actually possible. That's actually a good point. And yes, some of the private schools, some of the big names in Pakistan's educational institutions actually do have active women's football programs too. At the same time, we have to remember in the big cities, there have been clubs and there have been academies propping up which have dedicated women's football training too, in Lahore and Karachi and Islamabad and everything else. So that can be another setup to have involved as well. So schools championship, definitely that's something which the PFF should try to explore. But at the same time, existing clubs who have women's programs, who have women's training and women's academy systems out there, getting them on board for this kind of championship is also good enough. So, like I said, any teams that actually do exist have a women's, significant amount of women's player on their roster. They should be approached and they should be allowed to play in domestic championships. A domestic league, ideally, for senior teams, for junior teams, etc., various divisions, 1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. That'll be good. So, getting those teams on board and schools, of course, on board as a separate entity or as a joint entity would do wonders for, women's football in this country.
Ali, finally, I want your message to people out here in Pakistan, especially football enthusiasts, so-called football enthusiasts as well at the same time, and then the media fraternity. How important is it to not just highlight these young girls, but also cover this championship and spread the message to at least garner support?
What I would like to say is that one thing: football is for everyone. Men play it, women play it, girls play it, boys play it, young people play it, old people play it. Football is for everyone. So letting these girls play is extremely important as much as it is for guys to play as well. And for the team, don't raise any expectations because, like I said, 8 years of wait and 8 years of torment and not being able to play organized football regularly as much as they could have, support them, even if they get like disappointing results. I mean, it's part of the game. Take it in stride. But at the same time, you want to ensure this interest maintains, and you want to ensure that the girls who are really interested in playing football, especially at young age, are encouraged by their parents, by their families, by the society, by the teachers, by their friends, and by their peers too, so that opportunities like this can be combined with education, professional life, etc., to take it forward. Like I said, if women's football in Pakistan progresses, men's football will progress too at the same time, because you are making it more inclusive and more accessible to every single community and individual out there.
Definitely. Ali Hassan, thank you very much for joining us. Always great having you on the show. Right, that was Ali Hassan, editor at footballpakistan.com, talking to us regarding the fact that the Pakistan women's football team is going to be participating in the SAF Championship for football in Nepal. They have a big encounter against India on the 7th. I want you all to root for these girls. Obviously, keep your expectations on a low, but all the best to the contingent being led by Maria Khan, and we hope for some positive results. That wraps it up from me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.